is also superintendent in country hospital. Professor Zheng Shaoyu, he will be have an open recording for this webinar. Professor Zheng, please.
Okay. Distinguished guests, colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my great honor to welcome you on the behalf of the Taiwan Healthcare Associations to this foremost. We know that more than 25 years ago, the landmark report to every human transforms the healthcare worldwide. It's a challenge to us to move beyond the branding individual and to recognize that the most error from the system failures rather than the personal negligence. This concept has the profoundest influence on the development of patient safety in Taiwan. Our journal can be described as the following 4 stages. Next. First, we have the era of human errors. Before the patient safety movements, adverse events were often viewed as individual mistakes. The focus was the training, supervision, and accountable. The question is very simple. Second came the era of system safety. Following the global safety, patient safety movements and the SARS outbreak in the 2003, Taiwan began to recognize the importance of the system design. Root cause analysis, instance reporting system, and the switches model helps us understand the errors are rarely caused by the simple individuals. Instead, we result from the multiple weaknesses and with common healthcare systems. Recreation challenges to from who failed to why did the system fails. Third, we enter the era of the safety cultures. The healthcare organization adopted structures communication to team training, safety culture surveillance, justice culture principles, and the proactive risk management approach, such as the female. We learned the sustainable safety depend only on processes and technologies, but also our trust, teamwork, and leadership. We can then came the COVID-19. The pandemic remains that safety is more than preventing errors. It is about the resilience, the ability to adapt, recovery, and continue providing safety care under extraordinary circumstances. Today, we are entering the fourth area, intelligent safety, as we know. Artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming healthcare. AI can support the diagnosis, clinical decision-making, and operation efficiency. However, it also introduces new challenges, including automatic bias, alert fatigue, and human AI interaction risks. The future of patient safety is therefore no longer only about human and system. It's about the humans, organization, and the intelligent technologies working together, safety and effectiveness. As we look ahead, I believe the next chapters of the patient safety will be defined by 3 key elements: human factor, resilience, and artificial intelligence. Technologies alone cannot create safety healthcare. Safety emerges when technology is designed around human needs, supported by the resilient organizations, and guided by the strong culture of learning. Taiwan experience reflected as the bold global journalist. We have to move from the banning individual to improving system, to building safety culture, and now toward the intelligent safety ecosystems. The goal remains unchanged. Safe care for every patient, every time. As president of the Taiwan Healthcare Associations, I believe that the future of healthcare quality lies in the integrate human factor, artificial intelligence, and high reliability principles. So our challenges is not merely to make the healthcare more advanced, to make it safer, smarter, and human together. Let us build the future and more innovation, service safety in technology support humanities, and every patient received the safety care they deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zen. Thank you for the opening remark. Next slide, please. Next, I will introduce the first modulator, Professor Ting Jin Zhao. He's a vice superintendent in Zhongshan Medical University Hospital, also vice dean of School of Medicine in Zhongshan Medical University. Let's welcome Professor Zhao, please.
Okay, thank you, Professor Huang. President, distinguished guest, my dear colleagues. I'm Dr. Chao from Zhongshan Medical University Hospital. First of all, I would like to thank to the organizer of this forum for inviting me. It's my privilege to introduce the speaker, Dr. Sek-Kwong Poon. Dr. Poon got his master's degree from the Institute of Healthcare Administration at Yangming University. He is specialized in the utility of medical informatics in the quality management and patient safety. He's now the consultant of the superintendent office and the senior expert of the Department of Intelligent Medicine at Taichung Chuji Hospital. The title of his talk will be the role of human factor. The keynote speech showed that getting diagnosis right, the next frontier of patient safety. Let's welcome Dr. Poon.
Welcome to my presentation on human factors in patient safety, development in Taiwan. In this presentation, I will trace over 20 years of evidence, policy, and institutional effort that have shaped how Taiwan systematically applies human factors engineering to make healthcare safer for patients and clinicians alike. My presentation would be structured as follows. First, I would define human factors engineering and explain how it differs from attributing blame to individuals. Second, trace how 20 years of TPR data drove Taiwan's national HFD policies and tools. Third, identify the roles of key stakeholders, JCT, MOHW, EST, HFACS, and ITPS, in Taiwan's HFD ecosystem. Fourth, understand how IT system creates new human factors risks and how ITPS address alert fatigue and automation bias. And fifth, summarize Taiwan's key HFD achievements and priorities for the future. Human factors engineering, or HFD, is defined by the International Economics Association as the scientific discipline concerned with understanding interactions among humans and other elements of a system to optimize human well-being and overall system performance. In healthcare, this means we stop asking who made a mistake and start asking what about the system made this mistake possible. Three components interact: people, their skills, workload, fatigue, condition, and communication patterns. Systems, the workflows, technology design, procedural, and physical environments they work within. And outcomes. The goal is to reduce errors, improve safety, efficiency, and staff well-being. This shift from individual blame to system design is the cornerstone of modern patient safety thinking, and it is the lens we will use throughout this session. Taiwan's patient safety movement began in 2002 with a series of serious adverse events prompted national action. By 2004, the Taiwan Patient Safety Reporting System, the TPR, was formally established by the Joint Commission of Taiwan and the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Annual national safety goals were launched from day one, with medication safety as an immediate priority. In 2009, the first National Patient Safety Culture Survey provided a measurable baseline across all hospital types. By 2021, the ITPS, the IT Patient Safety Platform, was launched to address the growing role of information systems in adverse events. Today, the TPR handles over 75,000 reports annually from 18,056 participating institutions and has issued 186 alerts and learning publications over 19 years of operation. Let us look at the scale of Taiwan's patient safety reporting in 2024. The TPR received 75,730 reports, an average of over 200 incident reports every single day. This came from 18,056 participating institutions across Taiwan. The system analyzes events across 13 defined categories, and since 2005, it has issued 186 alerts and learning publications, turning clusters of incidents into system-level actionable learning. This is not passive data collection. This is Taiwan frontline mechanism for identifying systemic failures and trigger institutional responses at national scale. When we look at the distribution of events, medication errors dominate, accounting for 28,519 reports, nearly 38% of all cases. Falls are the second most common category at 17,475 events. Tube and catheter incidents, harmful behavior events, and laboratory or diagnostic errors round up the top 5. Surgery and other events are less frequent, but typically involve high severity when they occur. The sheer volume of medication events make them the primary lens through which Taiwan has examined human factors in clinical practice. And as we will see, they are deeply entangled with both human behavioral patterns and information technology, design failure. Here is the central finding that has driven Taiwan's entire HFE agenda. When the root causes of adverse events are analyzed, human and personnel factors rank number 1, present in 40.3 per 100 events. Patient behavior and physiology account for 39.7 per 100. System and process factors follow at 21.8, with communication factor at 9.7, and environmental and equipment factors lower still. The picture becomes even more striking when we examine specific event types. In Medicare care events, human factors are present in 69.8% of cases. In laboratory events, 66.5%. In medication events, 65.3%. In blood transfusion events, 64.8%. Even in surgical events, 54.6%. The conclusion is clear. This is not fundamentally a technology or infrastructure problem. At its core, it is a human system in action problem, and human factors engineering is precisely the discipline built to address it. Medication events deserve a closer look because they are both the most common and among the most preventable. Of the 28,590 medication incidents reported in 2020, 2024, 65.3% are attributed to human and personal factors. These events occurred across 3 stages of the medication process. At the prescribing stage, order entry, 19,280 events were recorded, but 93.6% are near miss caught before reaching the patient. Dispensing errors accounting for 3,672 events. Administration, the final and most harm-generating stage, accounts for 4,840 events, resulting in 900 minor harms, 373 moderate harms, 7 severe harms, and 1 death. The top error types are dose errors at 5,579 cases, quantity errors at 3,845, and drug name errors at 3,256. The stage-by-stage breakdown reveals exactly where HFD interventions, from interface redesign to alert system optimization, can produce the greatest safety gain. Alongside human factors in general, communication failures form a critical secondary layer of causation. In 2024, 7,268 reported cases identified communication-related causes, and they cluster around 2 distinct failure modes. Inter-team communication failures are most severe in blood transfusion events, where they are present in 86.8% of cases, and in unexpected cardiac arrest events in 76.2%. Medication events see 70.3% inter-team communication failures rates. On the team-to-patient side, failures are more prominent in anesthesia and security events. These numbers tell us that in Taiwan's healthcare system, the interfaces between professionals and patients remain among the most structural vulnerable points in the care process. This reinforces HFE's emphasis on designing better communication systems, not just training individuals to communicate better. This slide details the evidence chain showing how Taiwan transformed 2 decades of reporting data into national human factors policy. Following the 2004 launch of the voluntary TPR reporting system, medication safety immediately emerged as the dominant adverse event type, established it as a national safety goal by 2004. By 2010, root cause analysis shifted the safety community toward systems thinking by revealing that systemic organization failures and decision errors, not individual negligence, were the true drivers of errors. This evolution led to the 2019 validation of the Chinese language TWHF ACS2, giving Taiwan its first standardized human factors analytical framework for healthcare RCA. Finally, when 2021 data revealed that 50% of medication, transfusion, and laboratory events were inextricably linked to clinical IT system, it directly triggered the launch of the ITPS platform, solidifying IT safety as a mandatory national patient safety goal spanning 2020 to 2027. Taiwan's HFD ecosystem does not rest on a single institution. It is sustained by 3 distinct pillars working in coordination. The Economic Society of Taiwan provides the academic and research foundation. Its annual conferences, including its 30th in 2023, co-organized with JCT, Advanced Systems Level HFE Research for Clinical Settings. Its 21st meeting in March 2024 features a dedicated healthcare or economics track on the interaction of people, environment, and activity. The Joint Commission of Taiwan, JCT, is the operational hub. It runs the TPR system, operates the ITPS platform in partnership with ECRI of the USA, and issues annual national patient safety goals. Critically, goals 2020 to 2027 now mandates that all accredited hospitals have operational IT safety risk management systems. The Ministry of Health and Welfare, MOHW, sets the national agenda, annual patient safety weeks, a national PSC survey system operational since 2009, and 10 mandatory national goals covering medication, falls, tube safety, infection control, and more. These three institutions collectively create the full HFD ecosystem: academic evidence, operational implementation, and national policy mandate. One of the most significant HFD contributions in Taiwan is the evolution of the Human Factors Analysis and Classification System, HFACS. Originally an aviation tool, Taiwan began adapting it for healthcare in 2008 by studying cascading organizational failures in civil aviation accidents. By 2018, a trans-language version, TWHF-ACS, was formally validated, and the Joint Commission of Taiwan, JCT, adopted it as the standard root cause analysis training tool. That same year, the first domestic HF-ACS medication error causal study identified systemic organizational processes as primary root drivers. In 2023, researchers used logistic regression of 37 Taiwanese cases to develop 7 predictive error pathway models for clinical use. This expanded into HF-ACS MES framework, featuring 5 levels and 25 categories, which was published and validated on 186 clinical adverse events in 2024. Most recently, a 20,025 study in Xingang Hospital demonstrated that HF-ACS guided RSA significantly improved unit safety climate scores and achieved 0 events recurrences at a 12-month follow-up, completing HF-ACS transition into a clinical proven patient safety standard. Launched in 2021 by JCT in partnership with ECRI, the ITPS IT Patient Safety Platform is Taiwan's first dedicated health IT safety learning system. Its origins trace to 2019, when TPR analysis revealed that IT-related failures were not isolated incidents, but a growing pattern phenomenon. ITPS analysis now shows that 55% of reported IT-related cases involve information system problems, including order entry failures, documentation errors, and alert misconfigurations. Another 16% involve medical device connectivity failures. Critically, 50% of transfusion and laboratory adverse events are linked to health IT systems. ITPS provides risk alerts, root cause case sharing, on-site hospital consultations, workshops, and real-time instant feedback. It is not just another reporting system. It is a continuous learning loop specifically engineered for the digital era of healthcare. The ITPS platform highlights 3 critical human factors dimensions in digital healthcare unseen in traditional reporting. Alert fatigue. Globally, clinicians authorize 90% to 96% of decision alerts. A 2023 Taiwan MedGuard study showed a mere 1.64% error interception rate, with acceptance dropping to 10.9% in oncology compares to 96.6% in ophthalmology. This proves alert design must use HFD to model specialty-specific cognitive contexts. Clinician IT perception gap. A 2021 JMIR human factors study revealed that clinicians blame IT errors on workflow and implementation context, whereas IT staff pointing to sport-based functionality and design. Bridging this socio-technical blind spot is vital to prevent unsafe system designs. AI governance as HFD. With GCRI ranking AI as the top health technology hazard for 2025, automation bias and AI hallucination pose genuine patient safety risks. HFE must step in to design clinical AI features like uncertainty display, robot override mechanisms, and competency maintenance protocol. Taiwan's 2024 National Patient Safety Culture Survey shows overall improvements compared to 2023, with working conditions achieving the largest positive gain of 1.79 percentage points due to better workload management, environments, and equipment availability. In contrast, resilience was the only dimension to show a slight decline, indicating that adaptive capacity under high pressure still requires targeted attention from hospital leadership and human factors engineering practitioners.
Over 20 years of sustained effort, Taiwan's human factor engineering initiatives have produced concrete, measurable achievements. Notably, harmful inpatient events dropped by 35% from 4,763 in 2014 down to 3,107 in 2020. Today, Taiwan utilizes 3 internationally validated HFD instruments: TWHF-ACS, HF-ACS-MES, and JCT-SHS 1.0. While core standards like SPAR, the WHO surgical checklist, and teamwork resource management are firmly embedded into hospital accreditation cycles. This progress has established Taiwan as a regional leader, boosting Asia's first national IT patient safety platform and ranking 10th globally in healthcare AI research. Looking ahead, our priorities are clear. We must integrate AI governance into the HFD discipline, scale the ITPS platform system wide to all hospitals, and develop undergraduate medical and nursing HFD curricula. Ultimately, we will leverage national health insurance big data to build predictive HFD models, directly addressing the evolving safety challenges of an aging population and an overstretched workforce. Let us bring it all together with 5 key takeaways. First, Taiwan's HFD movement spans over 20 years, progressing from the 2004 TPR launch through HF-ACS adoption, the 2021 ITPS launch, and the current 2020 to 2027 national IT safety goals. Second, human factors remain the leading cause of adverse events, driven not by individual carelessness, but by systemic conditions that make errors likely. Third, this ecosystem is sustained by the distinct research, operational, and policy roles of EST, JCT, and MOHW. Fourth, ITPS serves as our digital frontier, tackling widespread alert fatigue, the clinician IT perception gap, and the emerging safety challenges of AI governance. Finally, our achievements are concrete and measurable, featuring a 35% reduction in inpatient harm, 3 validated HFD instruments, a stronger safety culture, and Asia's first national IT safety platform. Ultimately, human factors engineering in Taiwan is a 20-year-old national project built on evidence, sustained by institutions, and still actively in progress. Thank you.
Thanks to Dr. Poon for your nice presentation. If any questions from the audience, please keep it then to the panel discussion. Let me introduce the next moderator of this forum, Dr. Chong. Dr. Chong is now the Chief Legal Officer of the Zhongshan Medical University Hospital, Taichung, Taiwan. He will introduce the next speaker. Dr. Chong, please.
Thanks, Dr. Zhao. I'm Guobin Zhong from Taichung Zhongshan General Hospital. Because time limit, we next speaker is Dr. Yu-Hsing Huang. He is assistant professor at National Pingtung University of Science and Technology, with 30 years in human fat and economics. He completed his PhD under Professor Eric Honager, a founder of resonance engineering, and has spent the past 7 years applying human fat to healthcare. Please join me in welcoming him for title toward resonant healthcare, expanding from safety 1 to safety 2. Welcome, Dr. Huang.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Zhong. I will share my presentation. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
But I think there's some problem in my computer. Okay. I think it's working now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zhong. Good evening, everyone. Today, we are here to talk about healthcare quality, patient safety, and human factors. Some of you may not very familiar with resilience, but this is exactly where we are heading toward resilient healthcare. In this short talk, I will explain the difference between safety 1 and safety 2, and introduce a combined safety 1 and safety 2 approach. But let me say the key message first. Safety 2 does not replace safety 1. It expands the way we understand and manage safety. As the THQA president mentioned in the opening remarks, I believe many of you are very familiar with this book. This book published by Institute of Medicine in 2000, and its traditional Chinese version published by THQA in 2010. For those of us working on human factors in healthcare, this is a very important book. This book showed that medical errors was a serious problem and that healthcare needs to take action. The key message is simple. The problem is not bad people. It is that good people are working in bad systems. This idea helps introduce human factor thinking into healthcare. Human factors is not only about individual errors, interface design, or workload. Since the 3 Mile Island accident in 1979, an important stream of human factors have focused on complex social technical systems, including nuclear power, space missions, process industries, aviations, aircraft carriers, and healthcare. Charles Perrow described these systems as complex and tightly coupled. In such systems, accidents may be seen as normal accidents. Normal not because they are acceptable, but because unexpected interaction and develop rapidly and become difficult to control. Therefore, safety is not guaranteed by reliable components alone. It depends on how people monitor, coordinate, adapt, and recover under time pressure and changing conditions. Follow these lines of thinking about complex social technical system. Researcher and safety practitioner Gerrit in Sweden in 2004 and developed the idea of resilience engineering. The word resilience was borrowed from other fields. Here, it does not simply mean that individuals should be tough. The key questions was no longer only why do things go wrong, but also how do systems succeed under varied conditions. Rather, it's referred to how a system adjusts its internal functioning in response to external change, disturbance, and varied conditions. This idea was first consolidated in the 2006 book, Resilience Engineering, and that intended into healthcare through the Resilient Healthcare series, 2 books in 2015 and 1 published in 2019. The idea of resilience have now moved from theory to global patient safety policy. In 2021, WHO published its 10 years Global Patient Safety Action Plan with the goal of eliminating avoidable harm in healthcare. In this action plan, WHO called for high reliability healthcare systems and organizations. It also linked resilience with human factors by asking health systems to strengthen the resilience of healthcare organization and clinical practice from a human factor perspective. So resilience is no longer only an academic idea. It has become part of the global patient safety strategy. We can also see the same trend happen in Taiwan. In the 9th Medical Network Plan, the Ministry of Health and Welfare clearly used the language of an agile and resilient healthcare system. So resilience is not only a WHO strategy. Resilience have also become a policy direction in Taiwan. This policy direction was not only stated in the Medical Network Plan, it was also translated into Taiwan's healthcare quality and patient safety goals. Here you can see 3 consecutive editions of the goals: 2022, 24, and 26. In all 3 editions, human factors and resilience was included in goal number 2. This is important because it means that human factors and resilience are not one-time slogans. They have become repeat and continuing directions in Taiwan's patient safety policy. Let's look more closely at the goal number 2. There are 3 key elements. First, it emphasizes a patient safety culture, encouraging staff to raise concerns and suggestions. Second, it mentions building healthcare resilience. Third, it calls for applying human factor concepts to strengthen the effectiveness of safety improvements. So, in the current policy language, patient safety is no longer only about reporting incidents after harm has occurred. It is also about building a culture, strengthening resilience, and using human factors to improve how the system works. Many people in patient safety are familiar with James' reason because of the Swiss cheese model. James' reason in his 1990 book, Human Error, helped us see accidents as the result of failed defenses in assistance, not simply as individual mistake. But in 2008, James Reason published another book, The Human Contribution. This reminds us that people are not only a source of error, they are also a source of safety. So the question shifts from how did people fail to how do people help systems succeed? At this point, I would like to invite you to look at safety through a different lens. In safety management, what we see depends very much on the question we ask. If we only ask why things went wrong, we will mainly see errors, failures, and broken barriers. This is the traditional safety one perspective, preventing things from going wrong. But we can also ask another question. How do things usually go right, even under pressure, uncertainty, and changing conditions? This is the safety 2 perspective. It is about understanding everyday successful work and creating the conditions for things to go right. Let us now look at a medication safety case. A 70-year-old diabetic patient was receiving cancer treatment in hospital. The original insulin dose was 8, but during the transcription into hospital software, an extra 0 was added, and the dose became 80. This abnormal dose was not questioned before administration. According to the report, blood glucose level was not checked before the insulin was given. The patient later fell into coma and died 16 days later. The purpose of this case is not to brand individuals. I would like to use it to show the difference between two safety lens, safety 1 and safety 2. If we apply a safety 1 lens, RCA is a very familiar method. On the left, we start from an adverse event, reconstruct what went wrong, identify failed barriers and root causes, and then implement corrective actions to prevent recurrency. On the right, in this case, RCA would likely identify the transcription error. The abnormal dose was not questioned, and several failed barriers, such as dose range alerts, independent double check, and so on. The improvement action would then focus on preventing recurrency, setting those limits, using hard stop, and strengthening independent verification. In other words, the safety 1 approach often improves safety by adding more barriers, controls, and checks into the system. In this slide, we add the safety 2 lens. On the left is the safety 1 approach, which starts from adverse events and focuses on preventing recurrency. On the right, safety 2 starts from everyday work. It asks how things usually go right and how we can strengthen the conditions that support successful performance. The key point is that safety 2 does not replace safety 1. It expanded it. On this slide, I show how safety 1 and safety 2 can be used together. The safety 1 lens is like a spotlight. It helps us focus on the adverse event itself, what went wrong, which barrier failed, and how we can prevent recurrency. The safety 2 lens is more likely a floodlight. It helps us look beyond the event and ask broad questions. How are abnormal insulin doses usually detected? What happens if stop, question, and escalate? What weakens clinical sense-making under workloads? And how can we strengthen the conditions for noticing, question, and recovering? So the safety 2 does not replace safety 1. It expands our learning from failure to everyday successful work. Let me close with the most important takeaway. Safety 2 does not replace safety 1. We still need safety 1 to learn from failure and prevent recurrency. But resilience healthcare asks us to go one step further. We also need to learn from everyday successful work, how people anticipate, adapt, coordinate, and recover to keep care safe. In this sense, resilience is not only a policy goal, it must become part of how we investigate, learn, improve, and manage safety in daily clinical practice. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank Dr. Huang, your excellent lecture. Because time limit, we must remove next session. Next session speaker, but next session moderator is Professor Junyi Lee, Professor Lee from Hua Memorial General Hospital. Professor Lee, please.
Thank you and good evening, distinguished speakers, panelists, and colleagues. It is my great pleasure to serve as the third introducer and moderator for the discussion forum of today's Medical Quality Library International Master webinar series on ergonomics. Following the two inspiring keynote speeches, we will now move from concepts and evidence to practical dialogue. In this session, we hope to explore how ergonomics and human factors can be translated into safer clinical workflows, better system designs, and more sustainable healthcare quality improvement. And allow me to briefly introduce our two domestic panelists. First, I'm Dr. Junyi Lee. I'm the director of Department of Medical Quality at McKinney Hospital. My work focused on hospital quality management, patient safety, clinical audit, TRM, and system-level quality improvement. From this perspective, I hope to discuss how ergonomics can be integrated into hospital governance and daily quality improvement activities. And our second panelist is Dr. Wei-Cheng Lin, Chief of the Division of Cardiology at Yuan's General Hospital. As a frontline clinical leader in the high-risk and high-dynamic specialties, Dr. Lin brings valuable clinical insight into how workflow design, decision support, communication, workload, and technology affecting patient safety in real-world practice. So I look forward to a lively and practical discussion with our keynote speakers. And to begin our discussion, I would like to invite our speakers and panelists to reflect on the central questions. How can ergonomics move from being a concept we appreciate to becoming a practical approach we everyday use to improve patient safety and healthcare qualities? So to begin this discussion, at first I will thank to both speakers again for the excellent keynote presentation. And may I invite our keynote speakers to share your views on this question. In healthcare, many safety problems are still experienced as individual mistake. From the perspective of ergonomics and human factors, how can we help hospitals to shift from blaming individuals to redesigning system? Dr. Poon, how do you think about these questions?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee. And I think that it's important to the I think the education or the or kind of building a common understanding about what is the human factor is. The basic idea of a human factor is to think about the human, the machine, and the environment together. But I think perhaps in the technical education, sometimes it too emphasize on the machine or technical, or perhaps machine or technical is very expensive. So we need to follow the procedures or this operation procedures, but we forget to do some study or understanding first before we introduce the machine. So I think this is what I thought.
Thank you, Professor Huang. And how about Dr. Lin? How do you think?
Thank you for tonight's presentation. I was very enjoyed. I am Dr. Lin from Yuan General Hospital. I think tonight's presentation reminds us that patient safety is not simply about previous individual mistake, It is about understanding how errors emerge within complex health systems and how we can redesign those systems to better support the patient who work within that. May I ask Professor Huang a question that, from your perspective, how can human factors engineering help healthcare teams move beyond asking what went wrong and also understand how things usually go right in everyday clinical work? May I ask your perspective?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee. Yeah, I think this is the main idea of the difference between safety 1 and the safety 2. The safety 1 is to look for what went wrong, but the safety 2 is to understand why things always go right. And to understand this, we must go to the field, to the place where the everyday works done. So I think it's very important to see how people working. So I think as the introduced says, I spent 6 years in medical area, and I did several studies on the working site to look people working. For example, recently I spent about 30 hours on watching nursing working at ward and how they hand in and hand out. I think it's very important to look at them, how they work, and to see the communicated and each, and see especially the some occurrence, some call come-ins and patients have some problem and their family have questions and all these things happen together. I think it's very exciting to see these things. Yeah. I think it's very important to see and how in this occurrence they still can make things go very well. And I think it's amazing.
I think the combination of safety 1 and safety 2 is quite important, since we usually knows what happened, but sometimes our people doesn't know how to make things right. They just try to avoid errors, but they are not understanding the logics of making things right. Yeah, I think to combine the safety 1 and safety 2 concept is quite important. Thank you, Professor Huang. And what would you suggest a hospital if they want to apply this ergonomics to improve patient safety? What should the hospital do? Professor Huang, how do you think?
I think as another speaker mentioned, ergonomics, Taiwan Ergonomic Society, we have some cooperation with hospitals or JCT to do some cooperation or suggestion. But I think the most important things we need insider. We need insider from hospital, from the medication field. It's not only from human factor specialists from outside. We need some insider, and it's very important to me. I think it's quite key successful. If we want to make it successful, we need people from inside to work together and to know what happened and what is the real problem. Yeah.
Okay, good. So is Dr. Poon on the online?
Yeah,
Oh,
I agree with all the speakers talking about the safety tool and the need to be so-called insider. I think to do proper RCA, knowing the causes and using serious HFACS technique for finding out the true human factors are very helpful. The most investigator maybe nowadays in the hospital are too busy to make detailed investigation into the human factors. I mean, the insiders aspect is you have to interview the first line physicians and nurses and so on to know what they think, why they made the mistakes, and what they perceive. I think this is the technique that we have to emphasize in the coming RCA techniques. Although the HFACS has been promoted by the Yihui, but the actual performance still needs to better, more widely adopted and more seriously discussed. Yes, this is what I think it is important to really to take serious HFACS analysis. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Dr. Poon. And how about Dr. Lin? As you should be an insider. Yeah. So do you think you have any needs in the cardiologist as a cardiologist for the ergonomic redesign in your practice?
Because I'm very young, so I think it's very important to share Professor Pong's experience than my experience. So it's may I ask a question for Professor Pong that we know in the hospital we have a high workflow, complex system, and unexpected risk. May I ask how human factor engineering can help strengthen the resilience of healthcare organization, especially when clinical teams are facing high workflow complex system? May I ask your experience? Thank you. Professor Pong, are you here?
Yes, pardon?
And because we in the hospital, like we face about the very complex system and a high workflow, I have a question about how human factor engineering can help to strengthen the resilience of healthcare organization, especially when clinical teams are facing high workflow complex system. How human factor engineer can do to improve the workflow?
I think in the IT system, the most obvious thing we need to do is to make the system easy to use, make all the information available, and make the information clear. This is all our safety environments that we have to create to make a resilient, more right-orientated environment for physician or the first line clinicians to make the right decision. I think the engineering, the human factor engineering plays a very important part in the analysis and the design of the system.
Thank you for your experience. And how about Dr. Lee?
Yeah. I mean, for the resilience, yeah, I think we have some TRM training in my hospital for about more than 10 years. And we added the resilience training in this curriculum, and also the ergonomics. So we have invited some specialists in the ergonomic association and some specialists from the other hospital to teach our members about this, how to use this ergonomic concept to improve the resilience in our team building. Yeah, so that's what we have done for a few years. And actually, we see that the ergonomics help a lot, since when the workflow are redesigned, and maybe some of the screen pages was redesigned to help our people to work more easily. They are more happy to follow the SOP, and they can do the things better. Yeah, so I think ergonomics quite helpful in resilience training and resilience in the daily practice. Okay, so I think I have still one small questions for Dr. Poon. With the digital medicine, the AI, the IT you have mentioned, from your experience, what are most common human factors risks when hospital implement new digital systems?
So in the past and nowadays, the AI is coming, so the different, I think they have different situations facing different problems.
Yeah.
So in the past, I think that the interface design and the workflow is the main problems. We every time we have to analyze the mistakes made, say order entry, or why what's wrong with the process. We think about the whole series of workflow and interfaces. Now, with the coming of AI, I think the one of the problem of AI is the hallucination and uncertainties, and that would make people trust in AI, but they don't know the AI can be wrong. So I think in the future there would be lots of problem originated from here, and I think we need to have proactive action. So there are some actions taken by various hospitals to verify the AI if it is safe. I think there's new problems coming, and maybe this has already come already for many instances that the AI just saying dreaming and hallucinating. Yeah, we do need to be very careful about it.
Okay, that's true. Okay, since the time is limited, I think we have still a lot of questions, but I think the time is limited. So before we close this forum, I think I will thank to all the speakers and the panelists for the discussion. And I think that today's discussion remind us that ergonomics is not only about equipment, posture, workflow layout. More important, it's about the redesigning healthcare system that fit human ability, limitation, and real clinical work. And finally, I think ergonomics should not remain a theoretical concept. It can integrate it into RCA, TRM, clinical audit, quality indicators, everything in our hospital work. By doing so, we can move the individual vigilance to system resilience and from isolated projects to a sustainable healthcare quality improvement. So thank you again to all speakers, panelists, and participants. And I hope the webinar will bring us more thinkings about human factors. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lee.
Okay.
And today we thanks for the Professor Huang and Professor Pen's informative talk, and also Professor Lee and Professor Zhao and Professor Zhong's moderator and the Dr. Lin's and the expert to join the symposium. So we are from the Taiwan Healthcare Association. So we will continue cooperation with ASQA, Asian Society of Health Quality Association, to provide more webinar for the improve the quality care of the medical. Thanks for your competition. So thanks for your joining our webinar. Hope to you have a fruitful night and hope to see you soon very quickly. Thank you all the speaker, moderator, and also audience. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.